I'm in the middle of a storm, so if I lose service, Brittany will take over, okay? So you will still get the training. We want to talk about developing boundaries today. Okay, someone needs to mute. I'm not sure who that is. I hear some background noise. If you would mute, please. Thank you. We're going to be talking about developing boundaries today. I want to start out by asking, what is a boundary? Can someone tell me what a boundary is? You can unmute to answer the question. Okay, I'll go on and tell you. Brittany, you can go ahead to the next screen, please. Next slide.
Okay.
All right. A boundary is a definite place where your responsibility ends and another person's begin. It stops you from doing things that others should do for themselves. How many times, you're taking care of your loved one is something that they can do for themselves, but they want you to do it because you're their caregiver and you really want them to start learning some independence. So asking them to do it for themselves is a good thing to do. And also it prevents you from rescuing someone from consequences of their destructive behavior that they need to experience in order to grow. How many times we try to stop our kids from doing things that we know that they shouldn't do? We try to warn them what they should do and which they should not do, only to find out that if we stop them from doing everything, they're never going to learn. So we have to make sure that we, as parents, have boundaries to allow our kids to grow and learn. And doctors Henry Cloud and John Townsend states, the reason many of us don't set boundaries in our lives is because we believe that we are being selfish and afraid of being seen self-centered because we're setting boundaries. And that's something to think about. Some people may think that we are just thinking about ourselves when we're not allowing them to use us as they've done in the past. Next slide, please. Good boundaries don't fence you in, they set you free, which is true because appropriate boundaries increase our abilities to care for others. Because we have to have boundaries. Let's say, for instance, you're working and one of your coworkers, you're working out as a team project and everyone has their piece in, but this one particular person. And this person always wait until the very last minute because she's a procrastinator. Wait till the very last minute to get her information in, only to find out that you're gonna have to be the one to help her. But you have to be home by 6 o'clock. It's 4:30. It takes you about an hour to get home with traffic and everything. It's 4:30. It's due by 5:30. It's going to take you at least an hour to get home. Your caregiver leaves at 6. What are you going to do? Ginger?
I'm going to leave.
You're going to leave?
Well, if my caregiver's leaving at 6, I got to get on home. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Bad.
All right. Lynette, what will you do?
Well, I'm one of those people that likes to see things get done, so I would probably work like a mad dog for 30 minutes and then leave it to the person who should have done it to start with.
Okay. All right. But this person always does this because they know that they can always count on you to pull the team through at the last minute. So what we're going to have to start trying to do is create boundaries with our coworkers because we have other things, other obligations at home. Let's say, for instance, you've now made it home. It's 6 o'clock. Your caregiver leaves. Now you're preparing dinner for everyone. Your mom decides she wants to stop by. You're in the middle of cooking dinner and she's sitting there, you're cooking. Now she's invited herself to dinner. Now it's time for you to take care of your husband, which means that you have to do some of his personal care things, and your mom is sitting there. You can't get your mom to leave. She's just sitting there because she doesn't have anything else to do, and she just feels that because you're in town, she's there, she's bored, and she can just come and sit and stay at your home as if you have nothing else to do. What are you going to say to your mom, Sandy? Anyone?
I would ask my mom for help and then go take care of my husband because she can help with the dinner and the children.
Okay. All right. Melvin, what will you do?
Good morning. If she doesn't leave, if she doesn't help, she's gonna have to leave.
How would you address that? How would you talk to her and ask her to leave?
I would tell her if she's not going to help, she's have to go.
Okay. So first thing we need to start first, whenever we realize that we're faced with life-changing situations, it would be good if we would set boundaries from the beginning. So that way everyone will know what is expected of them. If you set those boundaries from the beginning, even when you're taking care of your spouse is, they're your spouse, but now you're moving from a spouse to a spouse relationship to a spouse caregiver relationship. And there is going to be some gray areas, and you need to set boundaries right away. Same thing as if you're taking care of your parent. You're no longer, in their eyes, you're still their daughter, but in your eyes, you're their caregiver. And you set those boundaries to let them know, look, there's some things that I need to do for me and you need to do for yourself. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, setting appropriate boundaries, okay? Next slide, please. Set realistic boundaries, all right? First thing we need to do in setting realistic boundaries is know what we're up against. We first need to know what the diagnoses are, whether it's Alzheimer's, cancer, whether it's schizophrenia, bipolar. We need to know what we're up against as far as the diagnosis. And how we can do that, we can talk to the doctor, recognize, so we'll be well informed about the signs and the symptoms of things that we need to know about those diagnoses. And also reach out to other people that have the same, that's dealing with the same disability that your family member have. So that way you can compare notes. It's like forming a support group with that, like the Alzheimer's support group. So you're having that support group there to give you, to help you with things that you may experience, okay? Have a realistic state of mind. The person that you're caring for, they may not say thank you enough when you're helping them, but just know that it's implied, okay? All right. And also, when you're taking care of someone, make sure you get plenty of rest. Lack of sleep can make anyone irritable and could possibly make your patient wear thin. So make sure you get plenty of rest. And I know most of you guys get plenty of rest because I know most of you personally. Okay. All right. And something else, when taking care of someone older, don't force the older adult to do something that they're not showing interest in, okay? And be willing to take criticism with a grain of salt. Perfect example. We used to take care of my grandmother, and she was one of those grandmothers we used to call Richard Pryor, because she was something of her, okay?
Well, good morning.
No matter what my mom did, it was never good enough. The food was never hot enough. Her drink was never cold enough. Her coffee was never hot enough. So it doesn't matter what she did, it was always something wrong. So my mom had to develop a thick skin and just realize that she had to take the criticism with a grain of salt, because she knew what she was doing was she was doing a very good thing. Okay. Any questions so far? Yes, no?
Hey, Vonda, before you move on, can everybody please make sure that your microphone is muted? I see a couple of you guys keep popping up and we're hearing the static background. So if you could please make sure you mute that speaker so we can all hear Vonda talk.
Thank you. Okay. Next slide, please. Just say no and mean it. Just say no and mean it. How many of you, raise your hands, if you have a problem with saying no? I have a problem with saying no because I want to please people. Well, I used to have a problem with saying no until I gained my independence back. I found my voice and I began to say no. Even to my mom, I had to start saying no. All right. When you say no to someone, here are just some examples that we can that you can use when you have to say no to someone. Speak from an I point of view instead of an accusatory tone. Instead, just say, I can no longer drive you to your medical appointments or to your doctor's appointments because it's taken away from my leave time. If you would like, we can try to see if another family member can take you, or if we can get public transportation to take you. And, dealing with our parents, they're not going to want to hear that because they're going to want us to be right there. But they need to, especially, they always count on to the ones that are closest to them and the ones who they feel they can get to do the most for them. Okay. So a lot of times it's going to be the youngest child, or in my case, the oldest one, or it may be someone that lives, very close to them. It could be someone that lives in the house with them, and they're expected to do what the parent wants them to do. But we have to make sure that we set those boundaries up front. And one thing that you can say to your mom, if you're taking care of your mom, is another example is, Mother, I am unable to continue with the responsibility of cleaning the house weekly. Can we just hire someone to come in to clean the house? How many of you have problems with that? If you're taking care, I see your hand, Lynette. And it's okay to say you cannot do it. Say no and mean it. This is an appropriate boundary. Okay. Remember, we talked about that earlier, building a good fence. This is a good fence because if you're constantly doing, eventually you're going to wear yourself thin. Your immune system is going to get low, and then you're going to build up resentment, whereas you're just not going to want to do anything for them. So to keep the peace, as I always say, we want to do everything peaceful. To keep the peace, you just need to make sure you say, I would love to do this, but I cannot at this time. And stick to it, okay? Say, for instance, your dad has this deck on his porch, and he likes to walk down these stairs every day. And instead of having a ramp built, he wants you to help him go down these stairs every day. And you're gonna have to just finally say, Dad, I can no longer do this. I feel for your safety and my safety. If you fall, then we both can get hurt. So why don't we just look into hiring someone to build a ramp? That's one way that you can address that, because we also want to remember safety first with whatever we do. with setting boundaries, safety first. Okay? Any questions? No? All right, y'all, my lights are blinking here. All right, next slide, please. How you spend your time and your energy. This is very key. I like this because it says time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. Is that a true statement? Yes? Lisa, why don't you tell me what this statement says to you?
You know, he says he can't even get outside yet. Wind's still blowing as hard as it has been for 24 hours.
Is it Brian?
Rain as hard as it's been for 24 hours.
Hey,
Wow.
Greg. Hey,
Told
Greg.
us,
Do you,
I'm trying to keep up with y'all. I don't know what's up.
Greg, do you mind putting your speaker on mute, please?
They'd sold one and they bought another one. I don't know.
Greg? Greg, can you hear me?
He doesn't know what to do.
Okay.
I muted him.
Okay. Lisa, can you answer that question?
Time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. Basically, what it means to me is time is precious. That's what it says to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that I should use my time wisely.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Doris?
I think it means that it's free, but it's priceless. So it's something you shouldn't take advantage of. Don't take it for granted. You know, just because you're there, it's not, you know, always there for you. You know, you could run out of time or, you know, never get the time to do something that you plan to do. So just don't take advantage of it. Don't take it for granted.
Right. Okay. So we're going to talk about scheduling some me time. Thank you, Famika. Let's talk about scheduling some me time. How many of you ever schedule time for yourself? Nobody? Well,
Vonda, what's that?
okay, so scheduling some me time. This means blocking off a set of time for yourself. This is a part of setting boundaries, because if you don't make time for yourself, then that means, you know, your time is precious, but you're not spending any time with you or for you. This is very important because this keeps you from having caregiver burnout, okay? This helps you alleviate your stress. This helps you with not feeling resentful to the person that you're caring for, because you're allowing time for yourself. Because if you're always taking care of them, doing for someone else, but not for yourself, you're gonna experience burnout. So take some personal time for yourself, even if it's just for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a lot when you're caring for someone. Especially if if you're married and you're constantly taking care of someone else, and your spouse will begin to feel neglected if you're not spending time with them. Yes, they should understand, but at the same time, this is a relationship that also needs to be nurtured. All right. Let's say when you guys were single and you were dating, and before the kids came along, you made time for your spouse, right? Yeah. As soon as the kids came along, your focus switched from looking for them, taking care of them or spending time with them to doing what the kids want. That's the same thing with being a caregiver. You were spending time doing other things before your role changed into being a caregiver. You still have to find quality time for yourself, all right? That's very important. On your calendar, let's think about it. If your kids are in school, every hour they have a certain subject that they have to work on, okay? Whether it's math, English, social studies, science, okay? So they know at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're gonna, from 8 to 8:15, they're gonna be in homeroom, right? So, and then from 8:15 till 9 o'clock, they're gonna be in first period. So why can't you carve out time for yourself like that? Why can't you say from 8 until 8:30, I'm gonna spend this 30 minutes sitting here reading a book or drinking coffee. I'm gonna do something just for myself, whether it's paying bills or whether it's just spending time catching up with the girlfriend or spending time with your spouse for just that 30 minutes, okay? Time is precious, as someone said, but you can, it's priceless. So you got to make sure you use it wisely, okay? Spend your time and your energy wisely, okay? Next slide. Don't let guilt get in your way. How many of you guys feel your family member put guilt on you for doing things?
I did feel guilty for my daughter. She's 24, but she's nonverbal, so she has autism. But I didn't know I was feeling guilty because she would hit me, and I would allow her to hit me. But once she got older, I had to stop letting her hit me. But I didn't realize the reason I was letting her hit me because I didn't realize that she was because I have two. One of my daughters is 2 years older, and I felt guilty because she couldn't do the same things my other daughter could do. So I had to learn that I was feeling guilty and had to stop her from hitting me.
Right. Anyone else? Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, this is Doris. I calls me several times per day, and when I don't go to see what he wants, uh, he says that I'm not at home and you're not taking care of me. And I try to get up and go every time he want me to come, but it really just runs me too much during the day and night.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Doris. Anyone else? Okay. We can't allow anyone else to put their guilt on us, because we're not responsible for making anyone else feel comfortable. We're not obligated to make anyone feel comfortable. We're obligated to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, okay? Think about, this is a situation I want you to think about. This is kind of in line with what you're saying, Doris. What if you were taking care of your mom? You have a sibling, let's say a brother that lives in another state, and they're not able to be there to take care of mom, to see about her. But every evening at 7 o'clock, regardless of what you're doing, they want you to stop what you're doing to FaceTime him so that he can get a look at your mother. And what would you do about that? And your situation is and you have so much going on this particular day. You've been doing it every day, but this particular day you can't do it. So what are you going to tell your brother? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm gonna let him know that I can't get with him at that moment, but I will get back with him later after I finish with my husband.
Okay. Thank you, Doris. Anyone else?
Yes, hi, this is Tamika. I would tell him he need to set up a time where he can come visit. I understand he out of state, and that's life. However, he need to set up a visit. But today, it's a whole lot of stuff going on, and I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Okay. Thank you, Tamika. Those are very good answers because he's feeling guilty because he's not going to be there. He's putting a stipulation on you. Even if you were able to do it every day, that was a boundary that should have been set. You know, when I'm able to call you, I will let you FaceTime mom. But if this, I cannot be obligated to do this every day. And as you said, Tamika, you're going to have to come and see mom yourself. And whenever we schedule that visit, that will be the time when I will, as the children would say, get ghost. I will get ghost and just leave him there with mom. That's how we, I'm sorry, Tamika.
I said I have my bags packed before he showed up. They'll be in the trunk.
Amen. That's right. But remember, you're not obligated to make anyone feel good, feel comfortable. Okay? All right. So next slide, please. This picture says a lot to me because in the middle of taking care of everybody, even with our jobs, with our kids, just simply this thing called life, we often lose who we are in the process. We end up taking on another identity of what people want us to be, or in people's eyes what we should be, and we lose sight of who we are. And I want you to make sure you look at that picture because this is very important. Because you are a caregiver, please don't lose yourself in just thinking that you're just a caregiver. Don't lose yourself in thinking that you're just a mom or you're just a dad. You're more than just that. You have to make sure that you protect your identity, who you are, and nurture yourself. That's why spending time along with yourself is going to be very important. And that's a very good boundary when you are doing that, okay? Next slide. Reach out to others for help. Just like you attending this workshop today, you're reaching out and you're on the phone on the Zoom with different members, family members from different walks of life, different disabilities. This is something that Respite is very, very good for, to make sure that you get some time to yourself. You're reaching out to others. Respite is very good, okay? This will give you a chance to have that personal time for yourself. To do things like run errands or go to the grocery store or just hang out with your friends, to go on that trip. Tamika, when your brother comes to visit and your bag is packed at the door, you know, Respite can be used for that. Brittany?
Yes.
Can you talk about Respite services, please, miss?
I will. I know a lot of you guys on here are familiar with Alabama Lifespan Respite Services. I know a lot are utilizing the resource as well. But for those who do not know, Alabama Respite is a statewide program, so we cover all counties in Alabama. We have several different services that we offer. The most popular, I would have to say, is our respite reimbursement. So for that program, you've got to send in one of our applications. You've got to send in proof of diagnosis from a doctor's office, social worker, caseworker, something on letterhead that just states the diagnosis. So it could be as simple as 2 sentences. Mrs. Smith has a diagnosis of dementia, or Samantha Jones has a diagnosis of Down syndrome. We do need to know if there's an intellectual disability. So from birth. So intellectual disability is just that IQ level below 70. It used to be referred to as mental retardation. So make sure you identify one way or the other, yes or no, on intellectual disability. You've got to turn that paperwork in together. So application and diagnosis do not need to come separate. They need to come in the same email. They need to come snail mail together, whichever way you decide to send it, make sure you're sending it at the same time. And from there, what we do is process in office as fast as we can. And if you're approved for the program, we will send you a welcome sheet with instructions on how to use the program. And we will also send you your award, which is going to be at the top of your timesheet. We're trying to get away from using the word voucher and replace that with timesheet. Timesheet seems to be a little bit more simple than voucher. So what you do as the caregiver, you will hire somebody that you know. So it could be family member, it could be a friend, as long as they're 18 years or older and living outside the home. You can hire that person. You as the caregiver will negotiate that hourly rate. The average rate of pay that we see in office is about $10 an hour. Some people get those sweetheart deals where, you know, they're like, you know, pay me a certain amount, certain lump sum for the weekend and I got it, it's fine. But we do need it broken down into what you end up paying hourly. So on that timesheet, you record when somebody comes into the home, you'll put who provided the respite for that day, how many hours they stayed, and what you paid that person an hour. And once you've used that full award, you'll send that back in to us and we will reimburse from there. This is not a weekly, monthly, quarterly award. We try to do 2 awards a fiscal year. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes you get 3. It all depends on our funding and it depends on how many families we're serving from year to year. If you're receiving, you know, aid and attendance through VA, or if you're on the Alabama Cares program, or receiving respite through Med Waiver, you do not qualify for anything with us except for the education stipend and emergency respite. So if something were to come up and there's an emergency with the caregiver, so the caregiver is sick, they've got to have surgery, they've got to go to the doctor, they need to go to a funeral out of town, that caregiver can apply for that emergency respite, get somebody in there, and then we'll reimburse for that. We do, as you guys know, a lot of education. We have been doing more virtual, of course, because of the pandemic, and it seems to work a little bit better for some of our caregivers. Our attendance has been up, so I'm happy about that, but we do a lot of advocacy. This year, which some of you know, if you filled out an application or a re-enrollment form this year, we are about to start offering stipends for mental health and counseling. So the way that will work is, you know, on the re-enrollment or the application, if you guys are interested in receiving therapy services, you'll hit yes or no, or you'd like more information. Again, this is in the very, very beginning stages, brand new project that we're working on. So we've got to build that database. Because we serve all counties in Alabama, we have got to put something together that has therapy or counseling agencies across the state. So people who are in different areas have access to that. Once we have that system set in place, those people who said that they were interested in receiving therapy will get an email or piece of mail communication from us saying, hey, these are the next steps. This is what you need to do. But eventually what's going to happen is we will pay the counseling agency directly for a set number of sessions for you as the caregiver to go and have that service. Or if you have insurance and it covers counseling or therapy, we will pay your co-pays if you can't meet those co-pays. So that's super exciting, especially since this pandemic has hit. We have noticed that mental health is quite important if you didn't already know that before, and especially when you're providing care for somebody around the clock. So that's coming up. And I think that is the newest addition to our program. I think that's it, Vonda.
Okay, all right. One more thing I want to say about setting boundaries, and I'll will email this to Brittany so she can forward this on to you. This is something that I found. It's a daughterhood declaration, but Melvin, sonhood can use it too. Okay, and Greg. So okay, it just says setting boundaries. Just because someone asks you to do something doesn't mean you should do it. People will make unreasonable demands just because they ask doesn't mean you have to say yes. It is not your job to make everyone comfortable. Someone else's annoyance isn't a sign of your incompetence. It is a sign of her discomfort. Get in the habit of noticing the difference. It will never feel good to set a boundary, but it won't kill you. You'll be okay. Guilt is the ego's sneakiest disguise. If guilt is motivating you to say yes when you want to say no, then it's limiting. Because, sometimes our egos do kick in, make us think that we can do more than we can. That's our ego talking when we won't say no, okay? The impact you were born to have, set boundaries with yourself. Treat your desires for perfection like you would an actual person who is making suggestions. Require a firm no. Call a good girlfriend. Get a boundary sponsor. A friend who will support you and give you perspective. Remember, your being is more important than your doing. You don't need to do more in order to make up for something you think is missing in and who you are. You are perfect and you're enough without doing anything. Just remember that, okay? And I'll make sure that everyone gets a copy of this. Okay? Any questions?
All right, guys. Yeah. So if you've got any questions for Vonda or for me about the program, I need you guys to hold tight because I've got some housekeeping to clean up with when Vonda is finished.
I'm done. I'm finished. Okay. So thank you, guys. Now over to Brittany.
All right. So if you're providing around the clock care, it is very, very important for you guys to send me an email right after this. If you've been on workshops with me this week, I have sent you the same information and asked the same thing. I will send you your post test, and then I will send you a form to fill out for the training stipend. So make sure you shoot me an email, put the title of the training and say I attended. And then I will reply back with your post test that has to be submitted and then that training stipend form. And we'll go from there. Okay. All right, guys, if y'all don't have any questions, then we are going to go. I hope everybody who's in South Alabama stays safe. I know that it is not the best weather right now. But we have another workshop coming up on the 28th. So if you guys are interested in that, Vonda will be doing that as well. It's the emotional side of caregiving. You might need to bring tissue. I'm not sure what she has in store for y'all. But you guys shoot me an email if you haven't already RSVP'd for that. Let me know. And if y'all have any ideas on topics, y'all let us know what those are too, and we'll try our best to accommodate those. We're always looking for new material, and you guys, as the caregiver, y'all know more than we know what you need. Yes, Melvin.
Brittany, I got something for you.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about having a caregiver's weekend?
A caregiver's weekend.
Getaway.
That is that sounds like quite the task. No, we have not thought about that. We have done a day before. What are you thinking?
Well, I was a part of the support group, and we used to have a weekend getaway for the entire family. Of course, the organization we had money to help, pay some portion of it for the families, but it gave them a chance to get away, have an enjoyment weekend, and then also the young adult child or whatever can be separated with the intern, while the parents or the caregivers have a chance to relax and do some fun things.
Okay.
Just an idea. Yeah,
we might be able to figure something out with some sponsors. So Vonda, we might get together to see if we can. It might not be for all of the caregivers on our program, because that would be thousands, but we might do some kind of a contest or a giveaway.
Yeah.
And also wait until after COVID.
What'd you say, Melvin?
We're gonna wait till after COVID, of course.
Of course, yes. Which that gives us more time to plan, so that's good. We like to have plenty of planning opportunity. So that might be something that we might be able to work out. All right. Well, if you guys do not have any other questions or suggestions, or if you don't want to say your suggestion out loud, you guys just shoot me an email. Make sure you email me anyways. For your paperwork. And Vonda, thank you so much. And we will talk to you guys later.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.